Are you in fashion?
Kinda, yeah. I kinda just wear whatever I want. Don't really follow any trends.
Jeans and a hoodie will do me.
Do you like any kind of specific forms of sort of music, and does that influence what you wear?
Hip hop, but doesn't really influence the way I dress or my fashion, really.
Sports shoes, but when I was 20 and 30, sports shoes were quite rare. Now they're everywhere.
My heels are killing me.
There is one pair in particular that I have probably 8 pairs of.
8 of the same pair of shoes? That's Phil Bell, aka DJ Sir-Vere. And no, he's not talking about heels, but sneakers, which we'll get to in a moment. I'm Sonia Sly, your host for My Heels Are Killing Me, and in this season we take a bit of a broader look at how culture informs the fashion landscape. In this instance, it's the synergy between hip-hop music and fashion. How do they blend? What are the influences? What's in and what's out? And what's at the heart of it? So I headed to Auckland. But first, DJ Sir-Vere's take on New Zealand hip-hop style.
It was definitely about taking cues from Americans and then trying to figure out how to work it into your own style. In New Zealand, you'll get called out pretty quickly. Oh, you're trying to be like that guy. So in the early days, because you couldn't get everything either. Getting
so limited fashion here,
very
wasn't
limited.
it?
So you had to kind of work it into what you were working with. There's definitely an amount of individualism involved, but you created that. Because I couldn't look like Run DMC because I couldn't afford all that. But, that's a bigger story too about the influence of American culture on New Zealand's version of hip-hop. It's easy for people to say you're just copying, but it's pretty easy to disprove that theory by what's put out. If I put out a New Zealand hip-hop song, you know it's New Zealand. If I rapped an American accent, that would be weird. Some people do it and I have no problem with it, but there's always something inherently New Zealand about Aotearoa hip-hop. Same with your fashion.
And for DJ Sir-Vere, sneakers are a massive part of his style.
Fashion is identity in hip-hop. In the early 70s, setting yourself apart to be a hip-hop person, to be somewhat of a rebel, to be somewhat of make a statement about you as a person, that was a real thing. So what you wore 100% was part of who you are, and then the sneakers were definitely part of it, because in hip-hop culture, dance is a huge part of it. You couldn't really look good dancing without cool sneakers on. When you were showing off or flexing, it was important to have the whole package.
Because, there's even a different way you tie the laces, right?
There's like 50 ways you can tell the laces.
From the ladder to the loop back, bushwalk, hidden knot, checkerboard, foot back, zipper, riding bow, twisty, sawtooth, patch.
I'm a standard guy. I like how they come out of the box. In America especially, people are real big on tying their laces differently. There's like a graph. It looks pretty cool.
And here's the moment you've all been waiting for. Okay. Wow. So, Heather, you've got to drag the box off. The shoes. FYI, we're actually up in the studio at My FM, where Sir-Vere works as a DJ and he's just finished his daytime shift. And I understand that you have about 500 pairs?
Yeah, maybe more than that.
More?
Yeah, I've got 2 storage units.
Just specifically for shoes?
Yeah.
And you know where everything is? I'm just slightly bewildered because you collect these things, you don't necessarily have them in front of you. Like, how does one appreciate pairs of shoes that are designed to be worn, but they're in containers, in boxes?
So I do actually try and wear everything. Plus, sneakerheads, generally speaking, have a rotation. At home, I've got about 100 pairs that I'm currently rotating. So every day I'll go and I put a different pair on, and then once every 6 months I go to the storage unit, put them all back in and take another 100 out. So I keep wearing them.
And
yeah.
what if you're wearing them and it gets marked? Like, what do? You don't care?
So be it. I've got a pair here that people cannot believe that I wore, but I wore them.
So these are on ice, so to speak?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yep.
Which doesn't mean putting them in the freezer, but
It means that they are untouched, also known as dead stock. Some people do that because they want to retain the resale value so that they can resell them for more later on. And some people do it because they just can't bring themselves to wear them, which is me on some occasions. Then some people do it because, say for instance, you really like a shoe, then you might buy 2 pairs and wear one and then have one stashed away. That's just how it works.
DJ Sir-Vere is a self-confessed sneakerhead and has been collecting them for 25 years. He's brought 6 pairs of his favourites for me to see, and each has a story behind it. So back to the 8 pairs of the same shoe.
Fire Red 5, that I really love the shoe. So when I got married, I put because my kids were my groomsmen, I put them all in the same shoe. So for me, it holds a lot of, sentimental value, and it's my favourite.
What's so special about it?
It's just beautiful. It was worn
aerodynamic.
Yeah, it's like it was a game changer from a design perspective. It's modelled after an aeroplane by Tinker Hatfield. It's, worn in some incredible games by Michael Jordan.
He kept it in bounds. Here it is again.
I choose to collect Jordan. Jordan is the biggest brand in the world, apart from Nike as a band, but this is like a singular numbered brand. The reason I like the Jordan 10 is because I saw Jordan play in person. I travelled to Chicago, saw him play. Now, the first time I ever saw him in person, he walked on the court, he's wearing Air Jordan 10. So that instantly became my favourite. Ironically, he never really liked the shoe, but... So it's got a white leather upper, 23 on the heel.
And is that Jordan's number, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's got a red sole and then black highlights. There's reverse versions with silver lining. When it came out, it wasn't that popular. Now everyone wants them, but I've never worn this particular pair.
But you buy them in your size?
Yep. In my wedding party, there was 4 pairs. I have another pair that I bought when they originally came out, which are virtually unwearable now. Because I loved it so much, I just kept picking them up.
Well, that's what comes with being a sneakerhead. Obsession.
So when they first came out in the 90s, they were very expensive, like ridiculous, even by today's standards.
Really? Like how much?
They're like $480 a pair. It was ridiculous. I went through the stage where sneakers weren't hot. So sneakers are big now, but back then they weren't.
But even in like a hip hop kind of like
but they
vibe, they weren't the thing?
They were, but they kind of weren't either. Like people weren't really onto it. And then now those shoes that I was buying are worth thousands of dollars because they're originals.
And that's something you'd expect, or at least hope to see in a collection of more than 500 pairs of sneakers. And Sir-Vere has a few covetable pairs, including a pair of Jordan 11 Space Jams.
In the movies Michael Jordan made, Space Jam.
Pardon me, Mr. Jordan. Could I have your John Hancock?
What's going on here?
We need your help!
He wears these, not this pair, but he wears this particular shoe. It's got a branding on it. It's got a 45 on the heel.
What does the 45 represent?
Because when he came back from retirement, he wore 45 instead of 23. This rolled leather here is not on any other version that came out of this. So there's a bit of mystery surrounding this shoe.
It was a sample that was never released, and what's more, Sir-Vere was sponsored by Nike at the time, so he didn't pay a cent. Now they're worth
10,000 US. They could probably go for 20 grand. Word has it there's probably 20 odd pairs in existence, maybe.
Which brings us to the Air Jordan 11, which industry insiders call
the greatest sneaker of all time.
It's chunkier than the new kind of streamlined sneaker you get today because it's got a kind of retro 90s feel.
These are 94, I think. So the patent leather thing's still kicking around because of this shoe, not so much other one.
And the way they describe the next pair, the disco version of the sneaker world, I don't know, because, they do have a bit of, like, glam factor to them.
So this is a collaboration between Drake, who's a pretty huge musician now, and the Jordan brand. So this Jordan Drake thing there's been music collaborations happening for a while, but this is a pretty big one. So there's 2 pairs of these. There's the white
Shiny.
ones and the black ones.
Wow, it's got like the kind of like metallic sort of...
Yeah, speckled type detail on it. These are pretty hard to come by and they're pretty expensive, but they were... I like the artist and I like Jordan's and I like the 10.
And while Sir-Vere has kicks that have been in their boxes for a while, there's a new pair in town. They're 2 days old when we meet up.
Probably one of the biggest releases that'll be out this year. It was huge.
Air Jordan 3 Retro.
Yeah, there's been a lot of excitement around that.
Black and grey with little red details and
the elephant print. This has become a really big part of sneaker culture. The other ones I have here are...
And my favourite of the 6 pairs have a subtle print on the surface of the shoe from manga comic Slam Dunk. It's unexpected and pretty darn clever. The print's also featured on the box. It's so collectible.
So in Asia, sneaker culture is massive. I don't know everything about it, but I do like the shoe.
So is this designed for the Asian market?
Yeah, that's the intention, that they wanted to to engage with the Asian market. So this was pretty big.
Having a sneaker obsession means also attending international conventions where consumers not only have their eye on what's on offer and what's coming next, but also on each other's kicks. Talk about competitive.
The one in New York City is astronomically huge. It's maybe 10,000 people go to it. It's called SneakerCon. They brought it to Australia. So, if you're going to go to Australia and all the boys go and there's a few thousand people there, you want to go wear your best shoes. So I wore these ones. Yeah, these are called Ray Allen 13s, PE, which means player exclusive. White leather upper, green highlight, which was because he was playing for the Celtics at the time. Now, they released the shoe on the anniversary of him breaking the record of the number of three-pointers hit, 1,500 or something. I think that they retail around 2,500 US now.
Did you just hear my jaw hit the ground?
They're dirty now. So I wore them at SneakerCon, but everyone was kind of like, oh my God, you're wearing those shoes. I'm like, I bought them for 600 on my honeymoon actually. So they got multiple meanings to me. If I try to sell them right now, they go half the price. It's just leather and glue. It's my decision what I do with it.
And with an avid collector, there's always a hunger for what's coming next.
There's like 10 things I got my eye on next.
The amount of money that these companies are making, it's outrageous.
Well, it's easy when there's suckers like me that want to buy them, so yeah.
So you're wearing a Dickies, a Breaks NZ top, because that's your crew.
Yes, Tango, yeah, and then the Pro Kids, and I guess my jacket.
Which brings us swiftly to Kent Christensen, aka
B-Boy Step 1.
He's a dancer who does breaking, an offshoot of breakdancing. B-Boy is short for break boy, and the style of dance originated in the early 70s in the Bronx. And it turns out there's a bit of B-Boy culture here.
Started in 97 with a crew called Face City Rockers, so I took the first steps to create the crew.
And run events and competitions, and importantly,
Step out first within the battles.
is there a particular style that a B-Boy should have? I mean,
Depending on the generation, I guess. Like, what I grew up watching and learning from was the original, like, rocksteady, kind of like the Brooklyn, kind of Bronx, New York kind of style. So for me, like the original kind of style,
Kind of
Kango,
hair.
the Pro Kids, yeah, the graffiti jackets. That's actually a graffiti writer down in Wellington, Juice One, one of the Time Bandit boys down there. I used to work for the Puma shop, so I swapped 8 pairs of Pumas for my jacket.
8 pairs of Pumas. Is it how much the jacket is worth?
They're probably $600-700 if you want to get one custom made.
The things we do for fashion, right? Is that meant to be you on the back?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Like a little
Sort of.
Puma kind of hat,
Sort of.
all blinged up, and like really. But hey, it's about authenticity and identity. And for Kent, most of the B-boys from his generation also had custom jackets made, which have roots in US.
Gang kind of culture, Zulu Nation, African Bambaataa. So he actually transformed it into a dance style. But then like the biker gang kind of like patches and stuff like that for the gangs kind of transformed into the hip hop. So they just started doing the jackets.
Kent's aesthetic references 80s and 90s style, and with B-boy fashion, it's a must for everything you wear to be spick and span and to stand out in a crowd.
And it's supposed to look clean on the floor. So if you have like dirty kicks or dirty clothes or anything like that when you're dancing in a battle, they kind of can use that against you. Like your shoes, if your shoes are all scuffed on the sides because they're your practice shoes, and you can say to them, oh, you're not very clean footwork, your style is whack, or...
Gosh, sounds like being at school all over again.
That kind of puts you off your game a little bit. So you want to present yourself as best as you can.
Have you ever had that happen to you on the floor?
Yeah.
Really? What
All
kind
the
of
time.
things?
It's just a battle. So anything like that is, I guess, like just tactics people use. Like B-boys these days, like new generation, the ones that have been doing it for like, say, 5 years or even one year, they don't quite get it yet. So they rock up to an event and they kind of just blend in with the wizard crowd. Like you should be able to look around a crowd at an event and know who the B-boy is. Just
Okay.
pretty much based on what they're dressed
So what are they
in.
wearing, like hoodies and just baggy pants? Or?
Yeah.
And just like hip-hop, shoes are an essential part of the style equation.
If you turn up to an event, you usually have 2 pairs of kicks. So one that you rock in with, like your fresh set, and then the other set for the actual battles. You form your character when you walk into the event, the venue. Like everything you wear, you should be able to dance anytime.
In terms of the fashion, it's competitive.
Yeah, competitive, but also shows that you have, I guess, respect for the dance and the culture, because you understand that fashion and how you present yourself is a big bit of the dance as well. So your lifestyle, your talk, how you walk, how you dress, how you dance should all kind of match. As a b-boy, you kind of stick to like the traditional kind of style.
But could you not come in with some new take on fashion as your own personal character?
You can. So there's a certain recipe, but you can mix it up however you want.
How do you mix it up?
Customize everything. So the jackets, your t-shirts for your crew, how you wear your shoes. I've kind of got them so that they don't fall off when I'm dancing. Because if a shoe flies off when you're dancing, that's pretty much killed your whole set, really.
It would be a bit embarrassing. But have you seen that happen to anyone?
Yes, and straight away everyone kind of laughs and stuff.
What's something that a b-boy should never wear?
Anything really that you buy from a normal shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Or like dress kind of clothing, or shirts, like the button shirts, because it's just impractical. Like anything with buttons, all the moves you'll just bust them up, or like anything tight, because when you're dancing you sweat a lot, so if you're dancing and you're sweaty, it's not a good look. You always want to look fresh, so dark colours is usually always the way that a lot of dancers go.
But black always looks slick too, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, Kent is also a low rider, and these bikes are low. It's also like a kind of prop that helps them stand out in the b-boy scene.
That's the same with the bike culture too, is no one bike should be the same. So it kind of brings its own little character to it as well.
And a bit about the bike. It's a pimped up custom-made bike with a colourful upholstered banana seat with about 4 rear-view mirrors and even tiny pom-poms and...
twisted mufflers, spinners, like little shuriken kind of things.
Like ninja
stars, yeah. Got a steering wheel.
Yeah, I know, right? A steering wheel.
You can steer it, but it's impractical.
And by the way, the bike is about 2 feet tall.
So it used to be big in New Zealand probably about 10 years ago, but it's actually died down because nobody sees them these days.
Does that mean that what you're doing is not cool?
No, that's the idea, is like to do something that's not mainstream or...
Yep. Mainstream is out. No sponsorship, and even if an event is sponsored, hardcore b-boys and b-girls just won't turn up.
Like everyone likes being unique and presenting themselves, and when you ride around, people look at you like, oh, I don't usually see that. Now, if we do like street jams, I always rock up with my bike, so I ride in, park my bike, and then have a jam as well with the dancers.
Now, while b-boying is a male-dominated sport, there are b-girls in the mix too.
B-girl style is a funny thing. I think that every girl, every woman has their own sort of take on it. I like to wear jackets, and I like to wear, like layers. So then you kind of can add a bit more style to your look as opposed to just wearing a t-shirt and jeans,
This is Canadian dancer Jodie Stewart, aka B-Girl Nossie. She started breaking when she went to London and became immersed in the scene when she moved to Auckland.
I like wearing hats too. I like to save my trainers for the battle so that I always have a tidy pair for breaking.
Your B-Girl name, where did that come from?
NOS that you have in a car, like when you do car racing. The NOS gas is what makes it go really, really fast. I'm always like, yep, let's do that. Yep, sounds good. Really spontaneous and really just like go get 'em kind of attitude. So that was how the name came.
How is the B-Girl style kind of different to B-Boy style?
Some chicks like to be like real bossy and real like tomboy, wearing caps and keeping baggy and, like trackies and track jackets and stuff like that, and having that real old school kind of hip hop look, which is sweet. But other girls want to be more feminine and more like wear like floral and, like rock the buttons and, like look fresh, like B-Girl Roxy. She's from England and she's always wearing lippy and she's always coming in like looking fly, looking feminine. I like keeping a feminine look, even though, because it's quite a male-dominated dance form, and it's nice to be a B-girl and be feminine.
What trends do you sort of feel like you are kind of into at the moment, that you've kind of given your own spin on?
That's quite hard. I think that it's probably easier to do more new trends and things overseas where there's more of a market for like really fashionable, really trendy kind of stuff. New Zealand's not really like that. And even like the New Zealand breaking scene style-wise has sort of gone down the drain a little bit. Like B-boys rock up to events in their track pants nowadays. When I first came to New Zealand, which was in 2008, B-boys were like looking fly. Their team would look like they were together. They'd be matching their shoes with their cap and like still making an effort. And then it sort of like slid into this more like most B-boys wearing like khaki pants. And then now it seems like the trend is like slippery black track pants. And even worldwide, there's sort of this trend towards like being more sporty when they're dancing, as opposed to like being really stylish, which is kind of what, maybe it was sporty back then too, like all the guys in all of their tracksuits. That's kind of sporty.
But maybe athleisure has a lot to answer for too.
Like there's one B-boy in New Zealand, his name's Haga. He comes flat looking fresh. Like he would come in a floral shirt, for a man, that's quite out there in New Zealand. For, a guy to come really colourful. There's another B-boy in Christchurch, his name's Grub D, and he's a chef, and he always wears his like chef jacket when he breaks. It's kind of this Asian inspired like chef jacket. Even Acorn, who's another B-boy, but he's over in Australia. He's got a signature look. He wears those khaki pants all the time and t-shirt. So
if he wasn't wearing those khaki pants, you'd be going, oh my God, who is this guy?
Yeah. He's not wearing his thing, wearing his khaki pants.
I don't know about you, but I definitely think there's an area here in New Zealand for somebody to create a B-girl or B-boy brand.
There's this B-girl in Australia, started her own fashion label, which was quite cool. Ting. In Australia, her brand is called Kerb, which is break backwards. And she makes beanies and she's got jackets, and you see B-girls like rocking Ting stuff, which is really cool because it's fashionable, and one of a kind, and aiming it at B-girls. There's a B-girl in Australia, her name's Aotea, and she wears a Ting jacket, and she looks really fresh when she rocks up to events.
But for B-girl Nossi, breaking isn't just about the style, it's about the art form.
I'm trying to raise up new B-girls. I'm trying to like inspire them and show them that they can be professional. They could get really good.
That was Jodie Stewart, aka B-girl Nossi. You also heard Kent Christensen, aka B-boy Step 1, and DJ Sir-Vere. I'm Sonia Sly, your host and producer of My Heels Are Killing Me, and this episode was engineered by Mark Chesterman. And this podcast also featured music from DJ Sir-Vere from Major Flavours. You'll find all of the Heels podcasts via Apple Podcasts, Podbeam, Stitcher, Spotify and Radio Public, or wherever you get your podcasts.